This is Robert with Gold Silver Pros. I'm here today with Gregory Mannarino, who runs the website traderschoice.net and is known as the Robin Hood of Wall Street. Greg, thank you for joining. How are you today?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining. I wanted to interview you for a while. I've been watching your channel quite a bit, and you have talked a lot about the economy and a lot about the Fed. And I wanted to get your opinion of all the money printing the Fed is doing in response to the coronavirus and what your thoughts are on that.
Well, it's completely out of control. I mean, it's actually they're in full control is what they're doing now. This is their final solution. This is what they've been working towards for many, many decades, to be the lender and buyer of last resort. They've absolutely instituted this right now. They're buying everything you can imagine with regard to debt, and they're having the investment banks buy the stock market. It's completely managed. We haven't even seen anything yet with regard to what the Federal Reserve is going to end up doing. The balance sheet is going to explode, like I've been explaining for the longest time. Whatever it is now, you can expect it to double, at least maybe even triple. They're on a money printing, adding digits to a screen extravaganza, unlike anything we've ever seen in the history of the world. They can get away with it now because there's no money velocity, so we're not going to see any crazy inflation yet. But the end game is very simple. They want to be the lender and buyer of last resort. This has been their goals for many, many decades. They've used this coronavirus here as, I won't even say as an excuse, because this is all engineered, in my view, from the get-go. We're now prisoners in our own homes while the Fed and this new government here in America take over. I mean, that's what this is. We have a completely new system, a new government, and we better start getting used to it real soon.
Yeah, I noticed that the Fed is starting to buy stocks directly. That's something they kind of shied away from. They would put money in the market and let it indirectly reach the stock market, but now they're going directly into it. And it seems as though they have an unlimited checkbook there. Do you think that that's bullish for the stock market, or do you think eventually, given all the debt concerns with all the corporates, that eventually it'll collapse and that'll come home to roost?
Well, I did a whole video just today talking about this. We can't. This is new. It's a completely new ball game. Anything we thought we knew before, anyone that's followed this market like me, and I'm obsessed with it. We have to kind of get it out of our head. This is a new ball game across the board. I have no idea at this point, nor am I going to try to put targets on anything. All I know is I'm a trader, as you all know. I'm also an investor in the market, and not just the market. I like to own things. I'm heavily into precious metals, as you know, gold, silver, platinum, palladium. I believe people should be diversified. You should own everything you can. Own it. Don't make yourself a debt slave. But anyway, with this whole thing here, look, let's play the game. They're going to continue to inflate the game. Right now, we have a managed market like we've never seen before. Is that bullish for the market? It is. It's absolutely bullish. I mean, we've seen the stock market bounce off the low. It's extraordinary what they've managed to do in a very short period of time, but they're buying everything with an unlimited checkbook. I mean, Steve Mnuchin himself said it's unlimited for Wall Street. Of course, Main Street's a different story here. I think this is a culling on an epic scale. I think they're trying to get rid of small businesses here. This is something that has been discussed in the war rooms of corporate America for a very long time. They feel that America is oversaturated with small businesses. They want to run the entire show. It's all about control. So these corporations here, they're looking to get rid of a lot of the mom and pop shops. They want to get in there. They want to fulfill the needs of that consumer by erasing any kind of competition. It's a way of getting rid of this and clearing the way for their final agenda. We have a clear example of corporations blending with this new government that we have here in America. The definition of that is fascism. It's moving forward very, very rapidly as the Fed is dollarizing the world. It's happening in our face, something I think most of us knew was going to happen at one point, but it's actually unfolding here very rapidly. This coronavirus disbursement Notice my term here. This is not natural. This was created. It was dispersed on purpose, in my view. I've seen some overwhelming proof that this is. At first, I was a big skeptic. I mean, most people know that who followed my work. I was like downplaying this. And then I got information from some people that are pretty high up. One of them, and I cannot mention his name, is very famous. If I would have mentioned this person's name, this person is so famous that most people in the world would know his name. Well, I just said his. Okay, it's a he in a blink of an eye. And the information I got is clear as day. This was engineered. This was dispersed. It was deliberate. And again, it's about control. It's about confining people right now. It's keeping them distracted while they issue in this new government, which is already here. It's extraordinary what we're witnessing. But I think we're just in the beginning of it. This is going to get much worse moving forward. We have a managed market. We have a new government. We're going to get a whole bunch of new rules thrown at us moving down the pike here. But from a trading standpoint, it doesn't change my philosophy. My philosophy is very, very, very simple. I like to keep things simple because I'm really not that smart. So what I do, honestly, is I trade the market I have. I look at the market in front of me every day. I don't think anymore about what's going to happen. I can't really say that. I always try to keep a little bit ahead of what's going to happen, but I just sit down and I say, okay, what do I believe is going to happen? What is this telling me? The information that I'm getting from the debt market, which I look at number one. I look at now what the Federal Reserve is doing here. They're buying everything. We understand what's going on with the investment banks. They're buying the market too. So, okay, makes it simple for me to trade. And that's really what I'm doing. I have not opened any new core positions in the market. I told everyone I closed them the Friday before the market melted down the following Monday. I came out publicly and I said I closed all my core positions. I felt like the market hit a maximum bubble. Are we going to get back up there? Time will tell. But the fact of the matter is, we're in an economic deep freeze. Everything is frozen in time. Nothing is working. And the market keeps going up. It's extraordinary. And what, 17 million people in the United States alone unemployed? Boom, up goes the stock market. It's totally disconnected. It's not real. But again, that's our strength. Knowing that it's fake is our strength.
Yeah, and I would attest to the fact, since I've signed up for traderschoice.net, which is your website, I get these daily signals, sometimes multiple times per day, and it's funny. I'll get the signal, I'll go look at the market, and you'll send a signal, for example, when there's like a 70% chance of a move happening, and almost immediately it's like we see a move in the market. So I think your signals trading is really good, and it is good for any market. It's not just a buy and hold market. You definitely have different options for people regardless of the market. Something you said a moment ago I wanted to get back to. It had to do with the control. One of my concerns is the executive orders issued by mayors and governors and proclamations issued by the federal government on people staying in their homes and social distancing, and the implications for our society, because according to the Constitution, really they don't have the power to do that. I don't see the sheriffs in America really stepping up to sort of stop this invasion of our individual rights. Of course, we all want to remain healthy, but do you feel like the average American now is really just sort of giving up their rights? Because I don't see any protests around this. I don't see people saying, hey, wait a minute, is any of this legal?
No, they're not going to question it either because they're scared to death. That's what they're trying to do. Make people afraid of one thing and you can control their minds. Everything goes out the window and they're telling us this is for our own good and we must do it. So people will tend to comply in this kind of a society. Look, people have no backbone anymore. They're not willing to stand up for what they believe in. The first thing they do here, look, we're going down a pathway to absolute, complete tyranny. The first thing they do is they take away your voice, your ability to speak. They don't want channels like yours and mine or people like you and me conversing and getting this message out. Believe me, they don't. I think you and I are probably on borrowed time with regard to this. So they silence people for the most part here. They have the mainstream media pushing their narrative, listen to what they're saying. And people buy it. The next thing they're going to do is they're going to strike at your beliefs, where your convictions are, and then they won't allow you to think anymore. Again, they're making decisions for you. They're telling you what you have to do. They're telling you what to say, what to believe, what to think, who to touch. It's an incredible situation, but people are sitting back here in this country, and they're just letting it happen. Our forefathers warned about this. As you said, they are absolutely taking away our rights. They're talking about mandatory testing. You can't opt out. How about Fed President Bullard coming out saying mandatory testing for coronavirus should be instituted to every American every single day, forced. I mean, come on. And, no one says anything about it. I mean, very few. I really believe that, unfortunately, there's too few people like you and I, or the people that listen to your work, and my work for that matter. Very few of us understand what's happening. Most people are so indoctrinated today, they have not the slightest clue of what's going on in the world around them, and they just submit. They just literally submit to it. Without question. Authority is authority, and that's it. It's like the word of God or something. But they're willingly giving up and surrendering their freedoms and their liberties, and it's going to get much, much worse with this merger of corporate America and whatever was left of the old world America, this new America. That's how I've been referring to it since this thing started here, and we're just in the beginning of it. It's going to get a lot worse.
Yeah, I think the thing that's astounded me was just the effect this is going to have on small businesses, restaurants, mom and pop shops, all of those, 35 million small businesses that exist in America that create the lion's share of the jobs. And so I think you're right. One of the things that's going to happen is the big businesses are going to clean up. They're going to get bailouts, and they're going to take all of the business that's left over. But big corporate America doesn't hire as many people. So I think we're going to have another permanent level of unemployed people. And what does that do long term to people's freedom? If you don't have the ability to make money and feed your family and buy land, specifically what the founding fathers equated with freedom was buying land, how does that bode for Americans in the future? How do we protect ourselves?
Well, what are they doing? We're watching something I've said for more than a decade now unfold. We're moving to a two-tier society, a feudal system, extreme haves, extreme have-nots. And those that are going to get stuck at the bottom rung are in a lot of trouble. Most people are going to fall to the lower rung. There is no middle class anymore. Anyone that, middle class America has been getting extinct for quite a long time here. Most people are debt slaves, and that's how they're controlled by that mechanism. And they're going to create more debt slaves, more people dependent on the system to keep them alive. And that's how they're going to fall in line here. It's very sad to witness this occur, and how so few people are saying anything. There's no protests. There's nobody lining up in the street saying, I'm not doing this, and they'll probably get shut down one way or the other here. It's an incredible thing. And to see and to be alive today in this kind of environment, and you really get to understand who the real sheep are out here. And unfortunately, it's 98% of the population. It probably is that high. Very few people can think outside the box, want to think outside the box. They've all been indoctrinated into this thing, and they're all going to pay for it in a big, big way. And it's too late for them to wake up. It's already taken over. New government, new monetary system, everything is here. It's really too late from a financial standpoint. People need to be they need to be doing what I've been saying since day one: betting against this debt, becoming your own central bank that is holding hard assets. Get into gold. Silver is my favorite. Physical silver is my favorite all-time asset. If I had one thing I'd want to own, it would be physical silver that I can hold in my hand. I think it's the most undivided asset on the planet Earth by exponent. I really do. One day its real price will be realized. Right now, we understand what's going on. It's rigging to the highest order. JP Morgan is getting caught over and over again, rigging the market. Other banks rigging the metals market, rigging every aspect of the market. But we've still got metals here over and over. But they never get in any trouble. They never will. Why? Because they're the big boys. They're running the entire show along with the Federal Reserve, which is now the new world central bank. So, people are in a lot of trouble. They really are. And the sooner they realize they're in a lot of trouble, the better off they're going to be. But I really think it's too late for them in many, many ways. They should have been preparing for a very, very long time, because much of the stuff I've been warning about for a decade is happening now. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing to see all the things that you've talked about on your channel and all your interviews over the years coming true. It's kind of scary, actually. Moving over to the gold market for a minute, you have goofy stuff going on, like the LBMA pledging 400-ounce gold bars for COMEX, and it seems like they're either double counting or fractional reserving that gold, trying to hold that up.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're fractional reserving it. They've been fractional reserving this for a long, long time. And that's a part of the game. We're not supposed to know that, but so we'll just keep that between us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for mom and pop investor who has finally woken up, maybe they hadn't over the last 10 years, or maybe they had been listening to you or me or reading what I've written, but they weren't really sure. And they say, one day I need to buy some gold and silver, but they hadn't done it. Now that we're seeing all these disruptions in the supply chain and lack of physical gold and silver, what are the options for people who just now realize I need to do something to protect, my financial position? Do you have any recommendations?
Sure, try to find some physical stuff, and it's a tall order right now to try to find it. And if you can find it, the premiums are off the freaking Richter scale.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you got to pay it. It is what it is. If people want to protect themselves from a financial standpoint, understanding where we are right now, they got to own this stuff. It's a no-brainer to me. I don't know why people, and I still know people today that they don't understand that these are assets that have had value for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And just because some central banker, Ben Bernanke, tells you that gold isn't real money and that central banks hold gold for tradition, doesn't necessarily mean it's true. I mean, it's incredible how anyone could buy that, and how he pretty much was given a pass. Central banks hold gold for tradition, and it's not real money. It's universal money. You can take that piece of gold anywhere in the world, or a piece of silver, and it's going to buy something. You don't have to convert your currency into something else. And they know it. Again, this is why our politicians here, Donald Trump, so against gold. The man doesn't want you to hold gold. He's so against cryptocurrencies as well. I mean, I believe in this stuff. I've been telling people I told people to stop buying Bitcoin the last time at 3,700. It's gone up 100%. I called the last run up in Bitcoin. I was telling people to buy it at like 2,500, told people to dump it right at the top. I nailed that to the wall. I mean, this is all I do. I study these markets morning, noon, and night, and my calls are not always right. But anyone that follows my work would have to say that 90% of the time I am right. And that is a little bit on the scary side. But at the same time, look, I don't have a crystal ball. I just study. I just say, what do I think is going to happen? What is the Fed going to do? I've been wrong one time ever with regard to calling the Fed. I have the best record on the planet for calling the Federal Reserve, better than Jim Grant, the Federal Reserve watcher himself. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's just in my face. I see it. I see what they're going to do. I know what they're going to do before they do it. So it makes it easy to call these things and be right a vast majority of the time. Nobody is right all the time. But by just looking at, like, to me, I kind of think about as like things just clicking, a click, a click, a click. And then when I get a whole bunch of these things clicking together, it allows me to say, okay, this is what they're going to do next, or this is what I should do next for myself. And boom, they mostly pay off. And anyway, that's pretty much it.
I had a question about cryptos. I know you've talked a lot about them. Do you believe that they're a money alternative, or do you believe it's more speculative investment that people just?
Well, that's a great question. As a mode of transaction, most of these cryptocurrencies are not very stable. In order for something to be viable as a mode of transaction, its price must stay stable. Anyone that's holding or investing in cryptocurrencies, like myself, I want to see it go up much higher. Okay, and I think it is going to. I think all the big ones are going much higher. So what does that tell us? These are more like investments than they are. Of course, you can transact with these things. If someone wants to, I mean, there's stores around here that say we'll accept Bitcoin and whatever else. On a BMW dealership about a couple miles from my house, we'll accept Bitcoin for a car. But, if anyone is looking for any of these cryptocurrencies here to become a viable mode of transaction, they got to be willing to accept that it's not going to go up in value, and that's not what they want. They all, including myself, I own all the big ones, want it to go up, and I believe they will in this environment. Who wants to be holding a central bank issued note here? I don't. I think it's stupid. I think people need to be getting out of it as the Federal Reserve is printing like crazy. But we're not going to see massive inflation for a while because there's no money velocity. So that's how they can get away with what they're doing now. But again, just to answer straightforwardly, I think they're speculative, but I do think they're undervalued. All of them, all the big ones are undervalued. I have my target on Bitcoin is 10 grand. I think we're going to get there relatively soon. You got to hold these things. You got to own them. If you don't own them, I think you're missing a big part of this.
Yeah. With all the world central banks pretty much moving in lockstep, printing like crazy, have been for, oh gosh, since the United States got off the gold standard, they all have been. China especially has printed a lot. Are there any other safe currencies to go to, or is it just gold and silver and stay out of any type of cash?
I don't own, other than dollars, I don't hold any other form of currency, nor will I. I think sincerely we need to be looking at gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and cryptocurrencies. Of course, we need to transact in their bills, how they want us to, transact. But at the same time, sure, we're going to let them play their game, and we're going to play along too. But we're going to play our game too. So that's how I always look at things. Good, let them play their game. We're going to play ours behind the scenes. And from a financial standpoint, to me, it just could not be easier to understand where people should be at this point. Be diversified, be in a lot of things, own things. If you like artwork, that's not a bad. I own art. I own musical instruments as well. I think these are viable investments. As you know, gold, silver. I own platinum, palladium. I own all of them, and I will continue to buy it. Well, hold that thought. Full disclosure, I have not been adding to my positions in a while over the past few months because of the premiums have gotten stupid. But I've been buying this stuff for over a decade, so I'm okay. I'm sitting pretty. But those people that they waited too long, but there's still value here. It's ridiculous. They need to get their hands on this stuff. But this is my opinion. Look, people are entitled to have theirs. My opinion is you need to hold it. You need to have cryptocurrencies in your portfolio here. If you are so inclined, trade the market. It's a nice way to earn fiat dollars and then convert it into something else. That's pretty much what I do. That's all I do, pretty much. Yeah. I'm just always moving things around every day, and I don't know. I guess it keeps me on top of things at the same time. It also makes me very tired. It's true. Every day at the end of the day, I'm so tired. Oh my God. Anyway, that's it.
So last thoughts to leave with the viewers. What do you see happening the next 6 months? What's in your crystal ball?
Well, I think what we're seeing now with regard to central banks, especially the Federal Reserve, the new world central bank, we're going to see more dollars flood the world. I think we are moving quickly towards a one world currency, which is going to be completely digital. I've been saying that for a while, and I believe that is going to happen. I think that's the real reason why the Fed is doing what they're doing, funneling trillions of dollars to central banks around the world. They're trying to establish this. So all they got to do is flip a switch to a new form of debt. That's all it's going to be. Central banks' power resides in their ability to issue debt. That we are not in any way going back to a commodity-backed currency. It would take away the central bank's power, for which they have killed millions of people, tens of millions, and they will continue to do so to make sure they maintain that power. And the fact that the Federal Reserve is now moved to, they are now the most powerful organization in the world. Nothing can even touch them. Their enforcement arm is the United States military. The petrodollar still exists. It will continue to exist for as long as most of us are alive here. Maybe it'll change in a few centuries from now, probably not. But so we're going to see more of the same. Right now in the U.S. markets, it's a complete takeover. The Federal Reserve and the Wall Street banks are tag teaming the market. They can yank it any way they want, up or down, sideways. It's completely fake. But again, let them play their game. We're going to play ours. Very, very simple. It makes my life easy. As a guy that trades this market, again, you've been getting my trade alerts. You said 3 of them. I put out another one today. 3 of them so far. I put out 4. Of the 4, 3 of them skyrocketed. The last one I put out, I think it's going to go up too. I'm not saying it's going to be a day trade. Most of these are not meant to be day trades. They're meant to buy and hold a few weeks, maybe a month. I don't know. But I think so far it's playing out very well, and I fully intend to keep that going. I want to level the playing field as much as I possibly can. It's all freaking free, so anyone that doesn't take advantage of it has got to have their head examined. Um, so that's really it. I'm trying to pay it forward. I'm trying to make a difference in the world. Really, that's all I want to do. I feel like we're responsible for each other, and that's the greatest currency of all, is
Hmm.
each other. Understanding that we're not each other's enemies, that we need each other. Uh, we need to come together. That's it. So all this to me is all fluff. It's all well and good. But once we all realize that we need each other everywhere around the world, we'll be a lot better off.
Yeah, I agree with that. Agree with you on the cryptocurrency. I think they're eventually going to get rid of cash. And if you want to transact privately, the only way to do it would be gold and silver.
Yeah.
Those are my last thoughts. Thank you so much, Gregory Mannarino, traderschoice.net. Appreciate you very much for joining on the program.
Thanks. Let's do it again.